All right, now we're doing 7Q, find the maximal product. This is by Tova7, and 86% of the people like it. Given a non-empty array of integers, we're going to find the maximum product of elements from all available sequences. A sequence here is any pattern in which the elements are equally spaced apart in the array. The sequence should start at its place in the array. For example, the sequence of the third element apart should start at the third element. So the third one apart right here would start at -2, which on this one would be 0, 1, 2, would be index 2 and the third element, all right? And then it would skip 3, 2, skip 2, 1, 2, and then 3, every third one. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all right? So the sequence of one element apart is like 11 times 6 in all of them. The sequence of 2 is going to be 6 times 0 times -4. This one times this one, and the rest of them, since there's nothing, since the array's not long enough, it will just be whatever it is, all right? So the maximum product of all those is going to be 8, because -2 times -4 is 8, and these are 0, 5, -4, and 2, all right? So right here, what we're going to do is we're going to say, let result equal an empty array, right? We're going to put all the results, all the products that we get out of this into this array so that we can do a Math.max at the end, all right? And then we're also going to say let product equal 1, all right? So we're going to have a for loop. We're going to say for let I equals 0 while I is less than r.length. We're going to say I plus plus. And then we're also going to iterate another time through so we can skip one each time, and we're going to say for, and then we're going to let j equal I, all right? Because it's going to start out whichever I is. And then we're going to say while j is less than r.length, what we're going to do to skip one, we're going to say j plus equals I plus 1, all right? So let's say it's on index, what is it? Index 1, right? Down here at the 11.6. So to skip 1, we're going to say 1 plus I, which is also 1. So 2, that would say 0, 1, 2 plus 1 more, which would be 3. So 0, so it would go 0, 1, and then 2, 3. It would hit this one, and then it would hit this one, and then and so on and so forth, all right? So after we get that going on, what we're going to say is product, yes, product times equals, and then we're going to say r at whatever j is at the moment, all right? So now that we've got this product, we've got to push it into this result. We're going to push it into the result outside of this for loop and inside this for loop. We're going to say result dot push, and then we're going to say product, all right? And now the product on this one right here would be 0, so we need to switch it back to 1. So we're going to say after this, we're going to say product equals 1, effectively resetting it back to 1, all right? And then outside of this for loop, we're going to say return. Actually, let's do a console.log. Console.log, and let's see what result looks like right now. Result. Test it out. All right, so now it's got this, and we're going to do a Math.max on it. Let's get this one down here. Test it out again. We're going to do a Math.max on it, and it should do 8 right here. If you don't know about Math.max, it's the function that returns the largest of the numbers given as input parameters, or infinity if there are no parameters. So all we got to do is put Math.max and then some comma separated values in there. All right, so we're going to say, we're going to wrap this result in parentheses, say Math.max result, test it out. It doesn't do anything. Why? Because we need to, right now it's an array in there, and as I said in just a second ago, it needs comma separated values. So to turn an array into comma separated values, we're going to use the spread syntax, which allows an iterable such as an array or string to be expanded in places where 0 or more arguments or elements are expected, all right? So we're just going to say ... Test it out. And look at that, 8. All right, let's let it fly on the real test. Let's get this down 1. Oops, we gotta say return. What am I doing? Return. Test it out. And there we go, it works. Attempt it. Looks good, looks good, looks good. But you know what? What happens if we're reading some code one day and there's a one-liner that does essentially the same thing? We don't know about it because we didn't think to learn about it, all right? So let's go over here and let's say const find max product equals R, and let's turn all this into an arrow, all right? Let's do a console.log so that we can test while we go, and start right here. So we're gonna say R to start with, to see what it does. All right, so now we've got this array right here. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to map through this using the map method. Basically the same thing as a for loop, but cooler. The map method creates a new array populated with the results of calling a provided function on every element of the calling array. So right here, it's got this x represents each one of these elements right here. So x times 2 is going to be 2, 1 times 2, 4 times 2 is 8, 9 times 2 is 18, 16 times 2, 32, and that's how map works basically. Well, we're going to use the syntax. We're going to use this arrow function syntax, but we're going to use this one right here with the element and index. All right, and we're not even going to use the element. We're just going to have that be like an underscore because all we need to do is worry about the index. Let me show you why and how right now. .map right there, and we're going to say we don't need the element. We're just going to do this, and then we're going to say index right here. All right, and for the little expression we're going to put in here, we're going to use the filter method. We're going to use a method inside this method called the filter method, which creates a shallow copy of a portion of a given array filtered down to just the elements from the given array that pass the test implemented by the provided function. So we're going to put this arrow function syntax. We're going to have filter, we're going to have element and index. Again, it's going to be just like the double for loop, and then we're going to have an expression right here. So we're going to say r.filter, all right, and we're going to say underscore and then index 2 like that, and then we'll have this right there. And so we're going to be filtering out whatever numbers don't fit in, whatever numbers we're not going to multiply for the sequence, right? So for the first one, we want to filter out like nothing because every one of them is going in. For the second one, we're going to filter out the 11, the -2, the 5, and the 2. And then for the third one, we're going to filter out everything that's not these two, you know. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to say, first things first, we're going to say, we're going to put in parentheses j plus 1 because it needs to be, 0 needs to be 1 and so forth. All right, so we're going to say not j, but index 2 plus 1. Let me bring this down. I can't. All right, index 2 plus 1. And then we're going to do remainder operator. And then we're going to say index plus 1. All right, so we need these. We need whatever index 2 plus 1 remainder operator index plus 1, we need that to equal 0, all right? Why? Because, like, we're not going to worry about the first one on this one. So, like, let's say index 2 would be this one, all right? Plus 1, it would be 1 plus 1 on the second time we go through. And then we're going to divide this one by that. So index, what is this? Index 1 divided by 1. So this would be 2, and so this would be 1, and so it would be, you know, a remainder of 1, and so that's not going to work. But this one would be a remainder 0, this one would be a remainder 0, and this one would be a remainder 0. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's do a test just so I can prove it. And so just like this, you see. Now what we're going to do on this is we're going to use the reduce method on this r right here, the r inside the function. So we're just going to come down here, we're going to press enter while inside this parentheses, this one right here, all right, and we're going to say dot reduce. And if you don't know the reduce method, It executes a user-supplied reducer callback function on each element of the array in order, passing in the return value from the calculation on the preceding element. The final result of running the reducer across all elements of the array is a single value. And the easiest to understand case for reduce is returning the sum of all elements, but in this case it's going to be returning the product of all elements, all right? So we're going to say reduce, and let me show you the syntax just in case you don't know. The reduce syntax, we're going to use the arrow function syntax, which has, all right, they changed this up. Now it's accumulator and current value, all right? Which is basically just the accumulation. So we're going to say accumulator, and then we're going to say, I'm going to just say ACC, forget this accumulator. ACC, and over here we're going to say current value right there, all right? And now we're going to say an arrow right there, and let me put this into parentheses, all right? And so what we're going to say is ACC times cur, all right? So it's going to take, like, this is going to be the first one, then the accumulator times 6, so it's going to be 66. And then we're going to multiply that by -2, which is whatever that number times 2 times 0 times 5 times -4, all the way up, all right? And that's basically how that's going to work. Let's test it out to see. Nope. What happened? Dot reduce. What's the problem? Oh, yeah. Let's put one more down in there. Now let's test it. All right, cool. So now we've got this array, and all we got to do is the Math.max on this. So let's put another parentheses around all this. Say Math.max. Test it out. Oh, what happened? Why didn't it show us anything? Oh, yeah, because we didn't do the ... with the spread syntax like we did last time. Let's test it out again. 8, just like we're looking for. All right, let's get rid of this. Get rid of this. This isn't even on the screen anymore. What's the deal? I'll bring this down. We'll bring this over to here. Looks terrible. Doesn't matter because it works. All right, let's attempt it. All right, it still works. Submit it. All right, and you see right here, basically the same thing. They did the initial value on the reduce right there. This one is kind of like what we did, but not. They used a map up here for some reason. Whatever. And another map. And anyway, so there's a bunch of different ways to do it. Let's go to mine. Just me on this one. Best practice in my opinion. Very much like it, and we'll see you next time.